All right. Next time I'll get a straw. I'm trying to make as little noise as possible when I get that drink. I don't want to sit here with a dry mouth and then pretend that you guys don't notice. You know, I go, oh, wait a minute. What is this? I see that we have some breaking news here. All right. This just in, folks. This just in. Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki has COVID-19. Oh, my gosh. COVID-19. This proves that even Mark Zuckerberg in a wig pretending to be the White House press secretary isn't safe from the dreaded China virus. No. Okay. I'm kidding. Well, kind of kidding. You know, Jen Psaki getting COVID's not the worst thing that can happen. You know, she's got the sniffles and we don't have to hear her talk for a few days. Isn't that great? We don't have to hear a word, hopefully not, come out of Psaki's mouth. She really does look like Mark Zuckerberg in a wig. Come on. You know she does. Come on, man. You know she does, all right? She's condescending. She's cold. She's an arrogant person. And you know what? I think she hates men. I really think she hates men. And there's a lot of women out there like that. And most of them are on the left. Big surprise, right? Big surprise. Oh, can you imagine being married to her? Can you imagine coming home to Jen Psaki? Oh, God. Oh, I got the shivers. Could you imagine dinner with a Jen Psaki and the kids? Could you imagine the conversation? Like the movie American Beauty. Remember that part where they're sitting at the table? It's, I forget his name. It's the actor that didn't tell people he was gay and then started touching guys. He got canceled a long time ago. I know his face. I can picture his face. I don't even know why I didn't write that down as a bullet point. I really should. But anyway, it's the guy from American Beauty. He's sitting across the table. All right. There's Jen Psaki. All right. We're all, well, I don't want to compare us to the guy from American Beauty, but hey, let's just imagine it's the scene, not necessarily the actor. All right. And you're past the asparagus, please. Yes, dear. I bet you have to ask Jen Psaki permission for everything. I bet her husband has to ask her for permission for everything. I wonder like what she watches on TV. Like, do you think her husband ever gets the remote? Do you think that if you were sitting with Jen Psaki and she was watching the new Charlie's Angels or the 2016 woke Ghostbusters for the 700th time or the, what is it, Miss Marvel movie, that woke masterpiece there, do you think she would hand you the remote? Do you think she would let you put on, I don't know, Monday Night Football? Probably not. Probably not. Could you imagine on a road trip? No radio control for you. You're not listening to the American Reveille on that road trip. No, you're probably listening to, I don't know, Florence and the Machine. Do you think maybe she listens to Fleetwood Mac? I don't know. I wonder maybe Cardi B. She could listen to Cardi B. Maybe that's her type of, well, you know, I can't imagine Jen Psaki having anything close to a WAP. So Cardi B's out of the picture. If anything, I would think Rage Against the Machine or Eminem, basically any male music artist with a very, very tiny set of testicles. That's what I would expect Jen Psaki to have. So I can't imagine Cardi B. Look, either way, being with her must be horrible. I feel so bad for her husband. I feel bad for her husband because I used to be with somebody like, I've been with a couple people that turned out to be like a Jen Psaki before I was married to my wonderful current wife, who is my forever wife. I'm saying that out loud, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I really do. I know this sounds sarcastic and jokey, but I really do. Love my wife 1,000 times over. But I'm going to say, I wouldn't want to be married to Jen Psaki. Not one bit. I wouldn't want to be. And I know exactly how that marriage would go. I know how it would go. First, all right, I want to be clear about this. First of all, you'd have to submit to her. All right. everything that she says. She'd always be right. Always, always, always. Not that women aren't always right anyway, because you are, but she would have to be really, 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 really right all the time, or life would be miserable. She's never cooking dinner. All right. And I'm not saying women need to be cooking dinner all the time. I'm just saying that in a relationship, in a marriage, it's a give and take. Sometimes the wife cooks, sometimes the husband cooks, sometimes the wife cooks all the time, sometimes the husband cooks all the time. It's really just dependent on the variable, but it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if you worked 700 million hours a day and Jen Psaki worked 1 day a week. You would come home. She'd be on the couch in her pajamas still. It'd be 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. She'd still be in her pajamas, eating a bowl of cereal, asking you why the house is trashed and what you're cooking for dinner while you're holding your bags, your tools, your gear covered in sweat, covered in the dirt of the day. That's what kind of person Jen Psaki is. And I can prove it. I can prove that she's a terrible, terrible, emasculating person because I've done some research on her husband, Greggy Poo. Greg, her husband, Gregory Metcher. That's his name, Gregory Metcher. All right. I want to take a look at this article. I'm not going to read through it. I told you we're doing different stuff. I'm not reading articles anymore. I've highlighted some facts, though, in here. All right. I've highlighted some facts. And the first thing I want to do, though, I'm looking at a picture. All right. I'm looking at this picture of Jen Psaki's husband. Jen Psaki's husband, Gregory Metcher. The first thing I notice, folks, is that he has a different last name than Jen. That is usually, unless for business purposes, but this guy's only been in politics. She's pretty much only done politics. He has a different last name. She has a different last name. And you know what that means? That means that she wears the pants. She wouldn't take his last name because in this new world, a woman shouldn't have to take a man's last name. Meh. Well, what about women that want to take a man's last name? Well, they hurt the cause for what? See, nobody gets what they want. All right. It's always somebody's way or the highway. Jen Psaki wears the pants in this family. I'm looking at this guy's face and he looks so feminine. He literally looks like, well, he's not that feminine because he looks like the Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary in mid-transition. Right? That's what he looks like. He looks like that Levine character. He looks like a half man, half woman, somewhere lost in transition, which is very, very different than the movie Lost in Translation. Very different. Hi, Rachel. Hi. Just curious how long your hair is now. You're still a man. Listen, this guy can't even grow a beard. He has no life experience besides politics. He does. Look, she's trained him so well. She's trained him so well, just like she would do to you, just like she would do to me. She sits there on her ivory tower. She sits there looking down like she knows more than you, looking down her nose, arrogant, egotistical, better than you, cracking the whip and lecturing those around her on race, gender, equality. And her husband's no different. He definitely is the submissive, the beta in the relationship, the cuck of the house. This is what she had to say about him. He's so comfortable in his own skin with who he is. He could be in a room with 5-year-olds. He could be in a room with billionaires. He could be in a room on a factory floor. And he would be comfortable everywhere. And he would have a conversation everywhere. Good boy. Good Greggy. Greggy's a good doggy. Good doggy, Greggy. Go lick the 5-year-old. You're the good Greggy. Go play with the billionaire. He is such a good little lapdog. He is. This thing goes on to talk about how Jen Psaki met her husband, and I don't care. I don't care about that. I'm going to turn the page on that because that would be the worst television show ever. Could you imagine watching the Jen Psaki, Greggy Metcher, mystery hour. How did they meet? When will they fall in love? Will Greggy get up the confidence to kiss Jen? And will she punch him in the face for trying and then accuse him of rape and call the police? Find out next time on When Jenny Met Greggy. No, terrible, horrible idea. But she is worth $2 million. What? This is a lady who's been in politics. Her maximum salary's been like 180 something. Married to a guy only in politics, worth $2 million. I'm in the wrong business. I work in aerospace. I do a lot of electronic repairs. I do a lot of things for military application. I don't make anywhere near what Jen Psaki has. I don't have a $2 million. I don't have $1 million. I don't have $500K. I don't have $10K. Jen Psaki's walking around with $2 million. What in Lord's name? Lordy. I don't envy Greg whatsoever. God, there's more pictures of him here. I'm looking at him standing on the White House lawn. He looks even more feminine in this picture. Oh my gosh. What a poor beat down puppy dog. Maybe he's or maybe he's out of his mind. I haven't done much research on Greg outside of this segment. I just wanted a chance to use him to make Jen look even worse, because she is a horrible human being. She's a classic controlling narcissist. This lady does not refer to her own children as he and she. She refers to her children as humans under 5. Little humans, you know what, let's try it. Like, I've always wanted to do one of these. Little humans under 5. That whole clapping while getting mad thing. Little humans under 5. That's what she calls her kids. God forbid you talk about gender in front of Jen Psaki. She's a Marxist. She's a robot. She's a runaway freight train just looking for a target, just looking to smash into anything she can and destroy it. Make no mistake about it. Jen Psaki wants this country to burn. No mistake about it, folks. None at all. And speaking of trains, and by the way, just to add in, like I said, when we do this for a couple more weeks, we get our timing better. You see, I didn't plan out times on this first episode, even though it's episode 178. I didn't plan out times. What I did was I wrote all this stuff. I put it all together. I put the bullet points out. I planned it. I did the producer's job, which is me. And then I'm doing the talent's job, which is me, right? That's what I did. But down the road, we're going to tighten things up. Things are going to have certain time limits on them. We're going to be able to call a break. We're going to be able to say right here at this moment, 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, 45 minutes in, however many minutes in. I think probably if I'm timing this right in my head while I'm talking, we're probably at 33, 34 minutes, something like that. But if we were at 30, I'd be able to say this is where the break's going to be. I'd be able to hit a button, hit the buffer music while we're going live, transmit this through the equipment that I'm going to be purchasing to AM stations, to FM stations, to stations across the country, allowing us to go national. All right, we can do that, but we're going to have to work together. We're going to have to practice in any endeavor, especially a creative endeavor. It's repetition. So I need you to repeat listening to me, and I'm going to repeat doing this until it becomes great. And we're going to do that together, folks. We're going to do that together. But speaking of runaway freight trains, I have invented a segment, all right? It's a segment that I want to do on certain episodes. Maybe I'll keep doing it depending on whether you guys like it or not. But I'm calling it Worldwide Degeneration. Planes, trains, and automobiles. That's right, folks. Segment 2, Worldwide Degeneration, planes, trains, and automobiles. If you're watching, you see me going through all these papers. These are different articles that I've read already, different things that I went through. This is just for this show today. Dozens of articles. I've got notes in them, different things like that. That's the work it's going to take to bring you guys a quality show. And I know I'm breaking kind of like that fourth wall or whatever by really talking to you about the show and telling you what I'm going to do, but I want to be open with you. I want you to be a part of this. It's you and me. And as we go through the next couple weeks, the next couple months, we're really going to fine tune this. But planes, trains, and automobiles, all right, wherever this woke ideology goes, wherever they go, wherever these Democrats go, wherever the wokeness goes, the Great Reset, the elites, wherever the Davos crowd goes around the world, even in places where crime doesn't usually happen very often, wherever they go, wherever they say they're going to make things better, whenever they say we're going to improve the quality of life for people, you need to run. Because wherever the woke ideology goes, wherever CRT goes, degeneration, crime, destruction follow. All right? The general public's become desensitized to horrible things, to criminal activity. Criminals are emboldened. Wake up. That is the point. That is the whole point of this segment. You need to wake up. You need to wake people up. They need to see that the way we're living now, whether it's due to technology, social media, Marxism, the big tech oligarchs, mainstream media, I wouldn't even call them that. I'd call them corporate sponsored media. Whatever it is, government, state-run media at this point, whatever it is that is happening, the combination of whichever way, left, right, up, or down, it has desensitized average, everyday people. The world's going crazy. There's international pressure towards this degeneration. The only way to bring forth the Great Reset, as the Davos, elites like to say, it is by owning nothing and being happy. And how do you own nothing and be happy? You destroy everything, or you take everything away from those who have and you give it to those who don't. Equity, right? You rob from the rich and give to the poor. But unfortunately, the Great Reset robs from everybody except a select few elites. That's the plan, right? Except the select few, the owl effigy burning Davos crowd, the billionaires out there, and I'm sure there's trillionaires out there, the secret trillionaires, the folks in the black suit jackets, smoking the cigarettes, running the show, running the world. They're profiting. This is how the elite stay elite forever and the entire world becomes slaves. And it's all done through a neo-Marxist woke ideology, all right? And CRT follows the same thing, but we'll get into that later because they don't necessarily mix as good with each other as people think. But it's spread. It's spread through social media. I want you to think about this. Think about back in the day. Think about when we didn't have phones, iPhones, social media, all this stuff. This stuff would have fizzled out because by the time it got from California to New York to Florida to Texas to Oklahoma to Japan, it would be 10 years. We used to have to wait for the newspaper. We used to watch the news once a day. That wasn't very long ago. So why wouldn't something turn out to be poison? Why couldn't something turn out to be society-ending poison without us even realizing it because we're too busy staring at a box? This isn't just the United States of America. This isn't just England or Europe or Australia. This is the entire world. The entire world. It's almost as if it was planned. I wonder. We're seeing an absence of morality all over. We're seeing it happen in places we would have never expected. Disturbing crimes. We've got one on a train. Look at Japan. Japan, right? You didn't expect me to say Japan. I love Japan. All right. I've spent time in Japan. I've done work in Japan. I've spent time in Yokosuka. I've been to Tokyo. I land in Narita, you go on the train, you go all over and have a great time. Japan is a magical place if you've never been there. If you've never been there, I recommend it, but I don't necessarily recommend it now. I don't recommend taking the train in Japan when you've got a man on Halloween dressed as the Joker stabbing 17 people on a Tokyo train. He stabbed 17 people. He stabbed, stabbed 17 people on a train. And he's the worst stabber ever because there's 17 alive people. Thank God. I'm not trying to make a joke. Well, I'm making a joke, but I'm not trying to discount the fact that they all got stabbed. Being stabbed sucks. And I don't wish being stabbed upon anybody, especially by a dumb individual dressed as the Joker, on a train in Tokyo, stabbing people. He injured 17 people on their way to Halloween parties in Shinjuku. I've been to Shinjuku. Shinjuku is an interesting area. This guy, he also set a small fire. He stabbed 17 people, and so that's how much they were not expecting anyone to stab anybody on a train in Japan. 17 people. That's also, a testament to how little stabbings happen. Because where's this guy going to get practice, right? Where's he going to learn? There's no news stories. There's no other criminals out there stabbing people on trains all the time. There's no manual how to successfully stab 17 people on the train dressed as Joker. So he's trying to set a trend there. And he didn't do a very good job. Thankfully, he didn't do a very good job, though. There is a man in his 60s. There's a couple people, 2 or 3, in serious condition, but they seem that they're going to be doing okay. It looks in here like they're going to be doing okay. It says that there's one in crucial condition. The man in his 60s, he's in crucial condition. All right, that's not good. I don't recommend stabbing anybody. And now I really don't recommend being on a train in Tokyo. It says the suspect wore glasses and a green shirt. Otherwise, he dressed in the Joker's signature purple suit. A video posted to social media showed the man sitting alone in a train car, legs crossed, smoking a cigarette. And don't be too surprised. Don't be too surprised that he was sitting there smoking a cigarette. You're allowed to smoke cigarettes on trains in Japan. You'd be surprised where you can smoke a cigarette in Japan. You'd be surprised where I've smoked cigarettes in Japan, though I did quit smoking 3 years ago. But strangely enough, I don't know if you get this. You got to tell me. I quit smoking 3 years ago, March 8th. All right. So March 8th, what? 2019? Yeah, 2019. So over 3 years ago. I still get cigarette cravings. How many of you still get cigarette cravings? Don't worry, this isn't going to turn into an ad. I don't have any sponsors on here right now. So I'm curious. I still get them. Sometimes they're super strong. Sometimes I just want to run outside and smoke a whole pack of Camel Crush. But I'm not going to do that. I made my wife a promise. I told my wife that when our child was in her belly, when she got pregnant, I would never smoke a cigarette again. And I've lived up to that promise. That's how I tricked myself. I don't break my promises. I'm a man of my word. So I made a promise to my wife. And when I made a promise to my wife, I was able to keep that promise because I knew the consequences of smoking a cigarette were much worse than the benefit of smoking a cigarette. And any young guys listening to this advice, I would suggest that you take that advice. Take that advice, my friend. It fits right into the category of happy wife, happy life. You definitely need to keep the woman's happy. But this is crazy. This is crazy what's happening. Japan, of all places, Japan, of all places. I just told you need to keep the women happy. But keeping the women happy is one thing. What if you can't protect them? All right. What if you can't protect them? You would think that one of the safest places you could be would be on a plane or a train or in a car or on a bus. There's people, right? There's people everywhere. There's people. So they should do something. Nothing will happen in the broad daylight. It's not like a suspect would sit on a bus in New York City and expose himself to a little 9-year-old girl or a 28, 29, 30-year-old woman. He wouldn't pleasure himself and run off the bus without anybody doing anything. That wouldn't happen at all. That would almost be like Cuomo used to run the place and de Blasio was there. Like they defunded the police and New York is turning into a trash-infested, hell-written cesspool. That couldn't happen at all. Could it? Oh, where'd this come from? Police. Suspect exposes himself to 9-year-old girl on New York City bus. Yeah, come on. You know you saw that one coming. A man A man. I wouldn't call him a man. I'd call him a POS. I would call him a dead man if he did that to my kid. A man allegedly exposed himself, allegedly, to a little girl and a woman on a bus in the Bronx on Friday. I'm a dad. Oh my, the feeling in my stomach when I think of somebody doing this to my little girls turns my stomach. It makes me physically ill. I feel my blood boiling. I feel rage boiling up into my face. And I want to take that person and, like Game of Thrones, stick my thumbs and pop their skull. And that's what all of these parents are feeling across the country. No, that would have been a good segue. That's not the segue. We're still on planes, trains, and automobiles. But I'm legitimately angry. I'm angry. What is wrong with people? What's wrong with people? This guy boarded the bus, 5:05 p.m. He saw this 9-year-old girl, this 28-year-old woman. He pulled out his wanker. He touched himself in a sexual manner and then, fled off the bus. I imagine him leaping off like a fairy, you know? I bet you if while he was leaping off the bus, a car coming by just clipped him and just took his head off. I bet you when he fell down or kind of tumbled down or whatever it is, however you fall, whatever sound effect that merits after a car takes your head off trying to get off a bus. I bet you if somebody grabbed his wallet, they would find a card inside, and it would be a card saying that this person was a member to probably Antifa or BLM or some form or facet of the alphabet mafia this person would be a member of, because all of those groups support pedophiles. Those groups promote giving rights to pedophiles. So I wouldn't be surprised if this pedophile, this disgusting creep, if he was a member of one of those groups. New Yorkers agree. They say liberals are killing the city. But you know something? They've been killing the city for a very long time, haven't they? This isn't new. They defund the police and then create a 20,000-foot BLM mural on one of the roads there. This is the city that terrorists attacked. This is the city that we all collectively supported during 9/11. But now the Taliban are good and the parents are the terrorists. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. All right. Crime's rare in Japan. We talked about that. Crime isn't so rare in New York, but it's getting worse and worse. But there's only one place on the list right now. One place that's even more disgusting than New York. Oh, Ben Franklin. I believe Ben Franklin is from there. He wouldn't be happy, though. I could be wrong. I think he's from Philly, right? Is Ben from Philly? Anyway, let me know. Tell me down below in the comments section. But Ben Franklin, if he was from Philly, if he is from Philly, look, I studied a lot of history. There's a ton floating around up in this noggin, so things get mixed up. I'm probably right. I'm usually not wrong, but I'm second guessing myself. So I'm going to let you let me know. All right. Philly is hell. Let me repeat. Philadelphia is hell. All right. Philadelphia. I'm going to say it again, Philadelphia. There are demons living among you. Fire, brimstone, hell on earth, Philadelphia. All right? Listen, and I'm sure you've heard the story. A man was charged with raping a woman on a train outside Philadelphia as fellow passengers watched. They held up their phones and didn't. This makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that I have to whisper. I'm irate. I'm Joe, but I'm going to hold my hands like this to my side, like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. And I'm going to hold my hands up here like the great Cornholio. I'm going to say, I'm so mad. I have to whisper like Joe Biden. I'm really pissed. I'm in all seriousness, people did nothing. All right. When you hear, look, you're probably thinking, oh, this guy jumped on. This was a 1-minute thing. People were shocked. And then when they all noticed, he ran off the bus. No, No, I'm sorry. 24 train stops, ladies and gentlemen. 24 train stops. 27 stops later, this man was apprehended by transit police and only reported by a transit officer that noticed or saw it dozens of stops into this. Nobody did a thing. Nobody did a thing. This guy, I can't even, how do you even say his last name? It's spelled Ngoy. I'm gonna go with the Vietnamese rule and say Noi. All right. But I don't think, I've seen his picture. I don't think he's a Noi, but his name is Fiston Noi. He's 35. He's 35. The groper from the bus, the guy that was touching himself and showing his little wee-wee to little kids, to a 9-year-old girl. Gosh, that makes me sick. That guy was between 35 and 42. These are all people from my generation. So what has happened? What are they a product of? What have they been teaching people? Where is this going? Where does it start? Where does it begin? This man should have been beaten to death on the train by bystanders. Every single person on that train should be prosecuted. Every single person on that train should go to jail. But they won't, because Philly law, bystanders don't have to do a thing. And if they do a thing, they're not liable. They did nothing. They're not liable for nothing. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's getting in trouble. They're all innocent. They can all go watch that film later. They can all upload it to some video site. Nothing's going to happen to them. And this poor woman who was raped for 27 train stops, in Philadelphia, has to live through this hell forever. And God forbid she speaks up against immigration or against rapists or against the alphabet mafia, against anybody. Her rape will be discounted. She will be shamed and she will be thrown in the garbage. These people are hypocrites. These people are desensitized. And they've been desensitized by technology, by social media, by cell phones, and by the wicked, evil, socialist Democrat Party. I mean, what's wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Let me ask you a question. Tell me right now, look at me in the eye, listen to me, hear these words. If you were on a train, you, my friend, and you saw this guy grab this woman on the train and start raping her, would you sit there and do nothing? Even worse, would you pull your phone out and film it? Or would you have the courage? Would you stand up tall and be an American, do the right thing, and put your boot across his face? That is what should have happened. That is what didn't happen. When people no longer care about other people, the devil wins. Plain and simple. The devil wins. Plain and simple. We need to find out where this starts. We need to find out how to fix it. Maybe it starts in the schools. I know one thing's for sure. We're all looking at Virginia. We're all looking at Virginia like some sort of Miss Cleo, the South Florida, the psychic. Ah, yes. I tried to do a Jamaican accent that sounds like an Italian. Miss Cleo's a pizzeria. Ha, it's me, Miss Cleo. No, that's... No, Miss Cleo from Jamaica, man. Yes, when I was a kid, Miss Cleo would come on. You call 1-800 Miss Cleo. I read your fortune for you, man. Yes, that is what Miss Cleo would do. And Virginia is Miss Cleo. She is the United States, the world's Mrs. Cleo. Yeah. She's going to tell us, Virginia, that beautiful, beautiful, lovely state, Virginia, she's going to put on her red dress. She has to put on her red dress tomorrow, folks. Tuesday. All right. You might be listening to this. It might be Tuesday today for you. All right. This is coming out Monday night. But Tuesday, she's got to put on her red dress and dance the night away. Plain and simple, folks. Plain and simple. She's got to dance the night away because Glenn Youngkin needs to win Tuesday for the right. 100%. Plain and simple. Glenn Youngkin needs to win Virginia on Tuesday for us. It's hard to say his name together. Glenn Youngkin. You have to take a pause. You have to go, Glenn Youngkin, right? It's like when somebody goes, knock, knock. Who's there? Fork. Oh, kid, you're trying to trick me, huh? Fork. Hugh. You have to take the space. You have to say it so that people don't think that you said the wrong thing. People don't think you said a bad word. It's the same type of principle with Glenn Youngkin's name, except it's actually completely different. I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe that doesn't. But Glenn Youngkin came out of left field. He came out of left field. He didn't start blowing up. We didn't really hear about him until all of the cover-up of Loudoun County, Virginia became exposed, until they pulled the Band-Aid off, ripped the scab off, and let the wound breathe. The left didn't want you to know what happened in Loudoun County, Virginia. They didn't want you to know. And if you don't know, we're going to talk about it in a couple minutes. I'm not going to go too crazy. We'll recap certain things and talk about others, but we've done previous episodes about this, and I'm sure we'll do more. But the big point, the big picture is that if we lose the election in Virginia, it'll further demoralize the right. You see, in any kind of conflict, when the crowd is on your side, when the momentum is on your tail, when the wind is beneath your wings, you soar, you fly, you excel, you win. But when you get beat and beat and beat and beat and beat, it's even harder to build that momentum back up. Now, if we destroy Terry McAuliffe, if the red, the right, the collective right, I'm not just talking Republicans, if conservatives come out, libertarians that are right wing come out, the libertarians that Joe lost, the minority group, everybody that hates Joe, if they come out, and that's a lot of people, if they come out and they say, let's go, Brandon, and they vote for Glenn Youngkin, we're going to know. We're going to know what 2022 is going to look like. We're going to know what 2024 is going to look like. All right? Plain and simple. But I have to say something. In all lightness, in all humor, I have to say something about Glenn Youngkin and how he looks. I have a comparison. I'm going to just take a sip of this water real quick, though. I don't know how many of you have kids. I have little girls. I have daughters. There's a movie that I've watched, a Pixar movie, a bunch called Zootopia. My youngest one, she loves Zootopia. And there's a character in Zootopia. He works at the DMV and he's a sloth. That's right. He's an animated sloth and his name is Flash 100-Yard Dash. That's right. He's a sloth. And Terry McAuliffe looks just like him. Not Terry McAuliffe, excuse me. Glenn Youngkin looks just like him. But Terry McAuliffe's no better. Terry McAuliffe looks like a shisty used car salesman, doesn't he? He looks like he's going to stand on a soapbox and go, come one, come all. Terry McAuliffe's here for Terry McAuliffe's wonderful aftershave elixir. Put it on your face, slap it on, have a swig. It gets you high. Terry McAuliffe for the Democrat Party. Vote blue and blow up the entire country with the rest of us. That he looks like. He's going to sell me something I don't need, and I'm going to be forced to buy it from him because he's so shisty. He looks, all right, get this. He looks like old Biff from Back to the Future 2. No? All right. How about he looks like an old man version of Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore on his happy merry way to take grandma's house. That's what he looks like. He doesn't look like a good guy. He doesn't, and he's not a good guy. He lies, he cheats, he steals, he works with the Lincoln Project. Those bums, those disgruntled, Trump-hating Republicans, those rhinos, they're not Republicans, they're fake. They're leftists, dressed, pretending to be Republicans. He worked with them, whether he says it or not, to grab these people, to take these folks and dress them in khakis, in white shirts, in tiki torches, all right, and pretend to be white supremacists supporting Glenn Youngkin, all right? And when they got caught. They weren't expecting to get caught. They were trying to use an old Democrat trick, bad publicity. And then the couple people that hear about it, it won't spread around. The damage will already be done. But the damage couldn't be done because parents are awake. People are awake in Virginia. Virginia's on fire and everybody is red, awake, taking their daily dose of red pills and ready to destroy, absolutely destroy the left for hurting their children. But even in the face of this, these disgusting, traitorous rhinos, these fake Republicans, these folks that have joined and created this horrible, horrible Lincoln Project, they literally defended their decision to get these lefties, throw them in their khakis, give them their Home Depot tiki torches, and have them pretend. And they only defended it because they got caught. What else could they say? They just lied more. They got caught in a lie, and then they went, lie. They lied more. And it's politics. So they thought they would get away with it. But it looks now like Glenn Youngkin may benefit from it because everything's blowing up in Terry McAuliffe's face. Everything. All right. It's horrible. These dirty tactics, they backfired. All right. I want you to hear what they tried to say Glenn Youngkin needs to do to get them to stop harassing him with fake white racists. All right. Today's demonstration, this is from the Lincoln Project, was our way of reminding Virginians what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago. The Republican Party's embrace of those values and Glenn Youngkin's failure to condemn it. See, they're trying everything in their power to get rid of Glenn, to destroy his credibility, but it's already too late. The people of this country have already grown sick and tired, and millions have woken up. All right. They're saying that if Glenn denounces Trump saying that the Charlottesville rioters possessed very fine qualities, they'll withdraw the tiki torches. And until then, they'll be back. But that's the issue. It's BS. That was a chopped clip. Trump never said that. That's been debunked. It's been debunked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. There's just nothing left they can do. They're trying everything. They're pulling every rabbit out of their hat. But it doesn't work for a man with such a punchable face. And that's right. I'm sorry. Terry McAuliffe has a punchable face. I'm not telling you to go punch him in the face. I don't advocate violence. I might have said a whole thing earlier talking about some person that's hurting children. And I may have made a hypothetical situation about a bus and a decapitation and all that. But it's all fake. It's all what's the word I'm looking for? It's all hypotheticals. It's all imaginary. It's all the emotions that you would feel if something like that was happening to your children. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. McAuliffe is a lying career politician. He's bought and paid for. He's a failed presidential candidate. He's been in politics for decades. And people don't want that. People don't want a shill for the corporations. They don't want a shill for big education, big tech, big media. And CRT wouldn't even be pushed if there wasn't money in it for big education, big tech, big media. McAuliffe stands for CRT. He says parents shouldn't have any say whatsoever in what their children in Virginia learn. He said, He literally said that. He literally said that parents shouldn't pick their kids' school books. He said parents shouldn't tell schools what to teach. He said Virginia has too many white teachers and they need to hire more people based solely upon the color of their skin. Folks, that is racism. That's racism. Critical race theory is racism. The left can pretend it doesn't exist all they want. But on day one, and he better live up to it because he needs to win on Tuesday. On day one, Glenn Youngkin says he'll ban critical race theory 100% from all schools in Virginia. As governor, he'll join Ron DeSantis in that fight. And unsurprisingly enough, Youngkin now leads 53 to 45. He went from being neck to neck in a tight race to being the man who's going to help begin the cleansing and saving of this country on Tuesday. We have to cleanse the wicked ideology from the country, the wokeness, the CRT, all of it. It needs to go bye-bye. Bye-bye. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Plain and simple. But where did it come from, right? Where did the discussion even start? I feel like Loudoun County is the place, right? Loudoun County is where it all began. And it's not so recent. We just started talking about it. People are hearing about it, right? People are thinking it's something new. But the stuff that started with Mr. Scott Smith and his daughter, that happened back in like June. The arrest, it happened back in June. It's crazy. Look, I want to tell you about this. This is something not a lot of people are hearing about. This says that scandal hit Loudoun County is rocked by another sexual assault case as police probe multiple incidents of a middle school boy groping other boys by touching them inappropriately over their clothing. Where, oh where, did a middle school student learn to do that? Where? All right. Loudoun County's crazy. Loudoun County has been falling apart. All right. There was one complaint about this boy on Wednesday, and now there's multiple complaints. By the end of the week, he had done it a bunch more times to a bunch more kids. And that's the recent news. But back in June, on June 22nd, at the school board meeting in Loudoun County, Scott Smith, the victim's father, I'm looking at his picture right here. I'm looking at it. And he's on the floor, shirt torn, beat up, gut out, bald guy, just like me, a dad just like me, a dad or a mom just like you. All he did was say, my daughter was raped. Why didn't you do anything about it? And his rights as a parent were abused. His rights as a parent were crapped on. Plain and simple. Scott Smith was dragged out of the school board meeting. He was arrested on June 22nd after hearing members of Loudoun County School Board claim that the sexual assault he was talking about, the rape of his daughter, there were no reports. It didn't happen. It was untrue. They covered it up, which of course sent him into a rage. He was convicted of disorderly conduct. He was booked and sent to jail. So this guy, this rapist, I'm sure you know by now, he went to jail. He was convicted. He hurt another girl too after this, by the way. He was convicted. So he's now a convicted rapist. All right. He's now a convicted rapist. He identified as gender fluid. And because of this identity, because he said he was gender fluid, he wore a skirt and he said that he felt like a woman. Gender fluid is kind of the same as gender neutral or whatever, where you kind of don't have a gender. I think gender neutral is when they consider themselves genderless, and gender fluid means I can be a man and now I'm a woman and now I'm a man again. I have a vagina. I have a penis. That's literally how insane this is. All right. But I want you to think about something for a second, something that no one else is talking about because maybe they think it takes away from the plight of the parents. I don't, because this girl was raped. And that's a terrible thing. And regardless of her prior history with this kid, she should never have been raped. Nothing should have ever happened to this woman. And something should have happened immediately to this kid before he had a chance to hurt someone else, which didn't happen. All right. But I want you to think about how messed up our kids are. This is a 15-year-old girl. All right. A 15-year-old girl. And she used to date this guy. All right. She used to date this guy. A gender fluid, a person that sometimes thinks he's a woman and sometimes thinks he's a man. Maybe he really believes it. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? I know we're all supposed to believe him. Are we supposed to believe him still after he raped a girl? right? Is that something that the alphabet mafia allows? Can we be mad about that? Or should we hold protests to get him freed from jail too? Should we do a George Floyd thing for this kid? For this kid? Is this kid going to be the George Floyd? Well, maybe not the George Floyd. I don't know. Look, he's not a good dude, but this is what young people are into. If you haven't been paying attention, every young person is a cis this or a gender neutral that or a pansexual this or a pot sexual that or a plant sexual this or a tree, a dendrophilia. I don't know, but they're all something. No one's a man or a woman anymore. But you know what the truth is? The real truth? The truth is that everyone's either a man or a woman because that's science. That's how that works. And that story, my friends, that's literally that. That's what got you as a parent. That's what got you as a mom or you as a dad put on that FBI list. The Taliban, they're no longer terrorists. It's you and me. We're parents. We love our children. We want to homeschool them or put them in schools that don't teach critical race theory. Therefore, we must be up to no good. If we're not quietly conforming, we're obviously going against the grain, and dissenters must be silenced. They must be. And this isn't all. This isn't the only thing that's happening. It's not. It gets even worse. I want you to think about something. I want you to picture something. All right? Do you have a young kid? Do you have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old? Maybe you have adult kids that are now grown up and out there, but you remember back when they went to school. I want you to tell me something, whether you're black or white or anything, Asian, whatever you are, Latino, Latina, your daughter, your son comes home, whatever ethnicity they are, whatever culture they are, whatever background they are, and they ask you, let's say you have a black kid. Let's say you have a black daughter and your daughter comes home and she says, Daddy, Mommy, am I born evil because I'm black? That will be on front page news. Heads will roll. It would be the most racist story on the planet. But you're not hearing that. That's not happening. Nobody's talking about that because the headline actually reads this. Loudoun County mom says 6-year-old asked her if she was born evil because she's white. That's why you don't hear about it. That's why nothing happens, because she's white. When are we going to have that conversation? When are we going to have that conversation? Born evil because she's... What is wrong with these people? What is absolutely wrong with these people? How dare they? How could they say that? How could they say that to a kid? I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand how they could give that type of assignment. And that's what it was. This is early spring of 2020. All right. This is literally not new. It's now being brought to the spotlight, but these incidents have been happening for years. You have Terry McAuliffe up there saying that we're imagining things, but these have been happening for years. Years. She learned this in a history lesson at school. Is she evil because she's white? Is she evil because of something her suspected ancestors? You know, I've had people tell me that I'm evil because I'm white because of slavery and colonists. I'm Jewish. My ancestors came here like 80 years ago. But, you know, I'm white. I'm evil. You know, the left, they hate Jews too. I just want to remind you of that. Just want to remind you of the truth. But you know what happens when we tell the truth? You know what happens when students come out and support the victim and hold walkouts in class and express that they don't want to learn critical race theory, and parents stand up for their kids because they happen to hear what was happening in school, because they happened to see what was going on. A lot of people got exposed with this online school during the COVID lockdowns, and people got to see what their parents were teaching. Double-edged sword, Fauci, double-edged sword. School system, stay closed, reap the benefit, or reap the consequences, the benefits. Listen, the left, do you know what they do? Do you know what they do? CNN. Do you know what they do? They find this and they try to spin it. They try to twist it. They try to convince the small population of old people that are still watching CNN that none of this is happening, that in fact it's the Trump supporters, that parents are evil and their own kids are against what they're doing. CNN has an article right here that twists this whole story. A girl was raped. Little confused boys are touching people. The whole system is falling apart. All of it. It's all falling apart. And yet we're the bad guys. They're teaching our kids to hate us. They're teaching our kids to be confused. They're teaching our kids that the evils of Sodom and Gomorrah are upon us and they are good. They are godly because God isn't real. Well, I'm here to tell you that God is real. God is real, and these folks will be judged, but that's not our job. Our job is to talk about it. God's job is to judge. Our job is to expose the truth. And the truth is that CNN is claiming that students are mad at parents, and that is a lie. It even says it in here. All right, it says the behavior of the adults on this night, and they're talking about the night of the school board meetings and the protests and all the different things by parents. For many months, and they have to mention this is CNN, in the majority white community. This is so that the upper middle class, well-off folks that live in these blue areas who've been fed white guilt their whole life feel guilty about their supposed privilege. See, only a certain amount of people actually have privilege, a small amount, and they've been convinced that everybody of their skin color shares it. That's how dumb these people are. That's how unenlightened the enlightened among us are. All right. A community of 50,000 white people in Lake Tahoe. It's been astonishing to watch, says Jacob Lewis, 16. When did the opinions of a 16-year-old ever mean anything? They don't. They never did. All right. You have opinions. You're 16. You haven't seen anything. You're a high school kid. What do you know of this world? What do you know of responsibility? What do you know of pain? What do you know of real, raw, human emotion and loss? You know nothing. And yet CNN uses this 16-year-old, this boy, these kids that know nothing. They use them like prostitutes to lie and twist the truth. Twist the truth. This 16-year-old, some other 17-year-old, a few other people, they said, I think that sometimes people misinterpret the discussion of racial issues to be critical race theory. Discussion of racial issues, that's not critical race theory. Remember, the students, a bunch of students, walked out of class and staged a protest in support of Scott Smith's raped daughter. Plain and simple. So again, look at me in the eyes. Listen to me. Hear my voice. Tell me, if your daughter was raped, would you have been arrested at that school board meeting back in June 22nd? Would you have done worse? Would you have done less? What would you have done? What would you have done? You know, teaching this woke alphabet mafia garbage to our kids, it's literal child abuse. It's child abuse. It's creating this pandemic of false transgenderism, of these false sexual identities, of these false narratives, these false genders. It's lies. It's false. There are males. There are females. You have a penis, you're a guy. You have a vagina, you're a woman. All right, if we're friends and we're in some kind of function and you happen to know me, if I knew you for 30 years and you decided to chop your stuff off, you know, I got a really good friend named Drew. Love him to death. Great family, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person, man of God, hardest worker I know. I've known him for 30 years. That's 30 years. If he chopped his thing off and he started calling himself Christina, and he asked me if I could call him Christina so I wouldn't embarrass him in public, I'd call him Christina because he's my brother and I love him. But he'd still be my brother because he's a dude that cut his junk off. Plain and simple. That's what it is. I'm sorry. And I have to be honest, if you're super, look, I'm a conservative. I believe in God. I pray. But at the same time, I love my best friends. I love my family, right? I want to do the right thing by people. I want to be a good person, but there are just some things I can't accept. All right. I can't lie about actual scientific fact. Social media, cell phones, all of the culture that's happening, this woke neo-Marxist ideology, the CRT, all of it, everything, all together. It's infecting our society. It's poisoning our children. It's poisoning our systems, everything. For the love of God, kid, you can't always have it your way. This isn't Burger King. It's not Burger King. Critical race theory, woke ideologies, they're cancer. They're cancer. Plain and simple. They're cancer. They're just different types of cancer. They're both aggressive, horrible cancer that you die from. Like one's colon cancer, right? I would say that critical race theory is like colon cancer, right? And then what's the other one that takes you out real fast? Is that pancreatic? Pancreatic's usually pretty bad. You get diagnosed, you're done like 4 weeks later. It's a horrible, horrible disease. We should be looking for cures for that. It's the cures for the common cold. But anyway, woke ideologies like pancreatic cancer, colon cancers like CRT, they're both still cancer. They're just going to kill you through a different means, through a different entry point. One's coming up where the sun don't shine, and one's coming from your pancreas. And that's the same with CRT. That's the same with woke ideologies. All right. It's creating weak people. It's creating feminine men. Like Jen Psaki's husband, Greggy. Listen. It's the truth. It's the truth. I don't think he can grow up. I can't get off it. I can't. He literally looks like, what's the kid? Do you remember King of the Hill? Like Hank Hill? He had the son, Bobby. His son, Bobby. I'm Hank Hill, Propane Accessories. I haven't watched that show in years, so I don't remember how to do the accent, all right? My buddy Adam would be so happy that I'm doing a King of the Hill reference. I hope he hears this. But Bobby, all grown up, no beard, can't grow a beard, kind of feminine, kind of unsure of himself, doesn't know what to do with his life. Yeah, that's Greggy boy. Greggy. All part of this. Glenn, for the love of all that is holy, please do everything in your power. I pray. Amen. I pray. Win Virginia. Build the motivation, bring the fire, and help us win back this country in 2022, because we need a deep red, white, and blue Virginia. 100%, folks, a red, white, and blue Virginia. All right? But you're not going to get that up here where I am. You're not. You know, I'm in a deep blue area up in the Northwest. I'm in a very deep blue area. And I want to tell you a little story. You know, yesterday I sold an exercise bike. I have this older exercise bike. It was like this Life Cycle fitness bike. And I used it while I was rehabbing from an injury, just to be able to sit in the house and ride the bike. This isn't a Peloton, folks. I'm not rich. You know, it's one of the ones that has the battery in it. You pedal it, it turns on, you stop pedaling, it turns right off. It's a good Life Cycle, right? Home edition, not the gym. It doesn't plug in. But guys, I sold it. I needed to get $150. I'm trying to, just like you, make the money, put the money away, do the best I can. I've got some legal stuff. I'm in court for a few things, nothing criminal, just civil stuff that we're working out. I've got all kinds of stuff going on, and I have to be careful with money. Not to mention I've got kids, right? Not to mention I have a wife. Not to mention I'm going to school full time. So I have expenses just like you, buying groceries, the price of groceries skyrocketing, the price of gas skyrocketing. I needed the money. And the guy who ended up coming to buy this bike from me ended up being an Army chaplain. Really nice guy. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to let anybody know who he is, because he could probably get in trouble for coming out in public with what he told me. So we're not going to do that to him. I want to mention one thing, though. He looked just like Gary Sinise. Just like Gary Sinise. And those of you who know me and have been listening to the show, you know that I've got stomach surgery coming up in January. You know that I've got some back issues, so I'm having trouble lifting right now. I haven't been able to get to the gym in a year. Trust me, once I get healthy and my back's rehabbed and my stomach surgery's done, I'll be in much, much better shape. But it takes time. It comes with time. But this guy, he had broke his back 20 years ago. All right? And so we're both trying to carry this heavy thing down the stairs. And I have my L3 is my spinal cord, right? It's being pinched by my L3 disc in my back. And so I get nerve problems sometimes. And it was just hilarious, just trying not to fall down the stairs. All of us trying not to fall down the stairs, talking about how horrible the left is, screaming about Marxism, screaming about critical race theory, screaming about who the government is pointing the finger at as terrorists, who extremists actually are in this country, groups on the left. We talked all about it. And when we got everything loaded up into his trailer and he gave me the money, I gave him a business card for American Reveille, and he revealed something to me. He told me that he was ordered, all right, still in the military, ordered to teach a class on extremism. And this class was geared towards conservatives. That's right. Now, they didn't let you know, right? This class, he had to sit there and talk about scenarios. If you're in the military, you know we have these training sessions and they talk about scenario situations. What would you do if you were in this situation? How would you do if you were in this situation? Where would this lead? And it's all to lead you into your own conclusions. That's how a lot of the training is. They want you to come to these conclusions. And he was telling me, all right, that the conclusions were geared towards you thinking that white people and anybody on the right, all right, people on the right, they were extremists. This is to program young people in the military. He asked the organizers, the folks that the Army hired to bring this training to the base, he asked them for a list of extremist organizations. Hey, if you're teaching this, right? He said to me, if they're teaching this, why can't you provide a list? Right? I want to see who these extremist organizations are because I'm teaching this class and I want to know that I'm teaching the right stuff. And you know what they told him? They said, we can't give you a list because our bosses are worried that the soldiers will look into the groups on the list and find stuff out about them. That's right. So we can only suspect that that means that they'll look up the groups on the list and realize that there aren't racists running around. There aren't a bunch of white people pretending to be Nazis running around. Maybe pretending to be Nazis, like those folks that showed up at Glenn Youngkin's rally, the Lincoln Project folks that Terry McAuliffe's in cahoots with. But no, real Nazis are not here. Real KKK members, onesie-twosies exist, but they're idiots. Nobody cares about them. That stuff's gone. This really isn't a racist country. It really, really isn't. It isn't. But they wouldn't give a list. So it goes to show the truth. What they're trying to do. Subliminally programming our soldiers to become good little Marxists. CRT people and woke people, they both share a common thread. They both want to label conservatives. They want to label everybody on the right, Trump and everybody else, as extremists. All right? But there's a little something that you may not know that I do. I've got a secret. Well, it's not really a secret. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that when you look down deep, CRT people, critical race theory folks, though they use the same tenets as a lot of the woke stuff, the woke crowd and the CRT crowd, they're like oil and water. They don't mix, folks. They don't mix. I'd say pineapple on pizza, but I like pineapple on pizza. So you can kiss my butt if you don't. If you don't, look, I respect it. But leave me and my choices alone. I can't even eat pizza till after I get my stomach surgery, all right? I can't digest that type of food. But some pizza sounds good right now. I'm going to eat a big dinner after I'm done doing this episode. I'm telling you, my wife's out there. I can smell it right now. I've got an awesome wife. She's from the Philippines and she makes authentic Philippine food. She's making pork and vegetables with some glass noodles, some homemade stir fry with noodles. All right. Yum, yum, yum. I can smell the ginger. I can smell the garlic. It's making me hungry. And I bet describing it's making you hungry. But we're going to have to wait to eat. See, we're going to have to feast on reality. We're going to have to be hungry for the truth. That's right. Hungry for the truth, folks, because some things just don't mix. Segment 5. Some things just don't mix. All right. CRT, the woke, and the real black community. That's right. Not these privileged folks pretending to be part of the black community, the actual black community. All right. They don't. The CRT, the woke folks, they work together because they have a common goal of disrupting and destroying the right. But at the end of the day, they have different core values. They're both neo-Marxist groups. They're both there to destroy, but they both have different objectives. All right. One wants to make this world, this genderless world, this world where 5-year-old boys could be with 46-year-old women who identify as 5-year-old women. It's insanity. It's this crazy world. And the CRT people, right? The critical race theory people want to separate folks into groups. It's the same thing that the left is doing with the woke as well, just differently. They want to separate everybody into groups and make oppressors and oppressees. They want to label all white people as evil, and they want to say that they have oppressed all minorities, and minorities should be given special privileges and advantages, even though they actually have certain privileges and advantages that the majority of white people don't have, because the majority of white people are just as screwed, just as broke, just as hungry, just as horny, just as everything else as their fellow black, brown, yellow, purple, whatever person. All right. We are humans. We are Americans. We are all cut from the same cloth. But you know what we're not cut from? We're not cut from the CRT cloth, the woke cloth. That is an infestation. That is an abomination. That is literally a tumor that needs to be cut out of this country. All right. Blacks, whites, minorities of all kind, everybody can work together on our core values and common goals. But those folks, the woke folks, the CRT folks, the elites, the leftist elites, for the love of God, they don't share our core values. That's why I've talked about peaceful divorce before, because I don't know how we come back from this unless we find a way to unite the actual Americans. It's a mixing pot. They teach this stuff in schools. They teach CRT. They teach woke ideologies. They teach opinions of teachers and groups. They mix it all together. So you have no idea. You don't know your butt from your elbow. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't argue with them. It's called being gaslighted. You get made to be crazy. You get told all these crazy things. They look like they're doing the right thing when they're actually not, and everybody believes them. But now it's too late. Now people are waking up. Now people see what's happening to their kids. All right, to their kids. My wife and I have the same core values. I'm going to give you an example. My wife listens to a lot of Tagalog music. She listens to some music that I like too. My wife, she's from a different country, from a different place, shares different beliefs. My wife's a Catholic. All right, she is a conservative Catholic. I'm conservative and I'm Jewish. All right, and my wife. And I'm pro-life, all kinds of. My wife is 1,000 times more conservative than I am. I promise you. My wife is queen conservative, plain and simple. All right. But our core values, for our little differences and even some of our big differences, right? Our core values are the same. We believe in God. Right? We believe in the education of our children, free from this horrible racist ideology. We believe in the wall. We believe in legal immigration. We believe in all of these things that have built our marriage stronger, that have brought us together as a team. And that's what a marriage is. It's a team. When CRT and woke people work together, they're not a team. They're just giving each other an advantage. It's like a business partnership. They don't share the same core values. They don't. And I can prove it. I can prove the CRT people don't share the same core values as the woke people and as the alphabet mafia, because Ibram Kendi, the king, the left's king of the CRT crowd, hates gay people. That's right. Ibram X. Kendi hates gay people. At least I think he hates gay people. I believe he hates gay people because I have an article right here from Ibram X. Kendi, who's horrified. He's absolutely horrified that his daughter came home from school and said, Daddy, Daddy. Imagine this. Imagine your daughter comes home from school and goes, Daddy, I want to be a man. Oh my God, that freaked him out. He's supposed to be the woke CRT king, but it just goes to show the truth. These are two separate things. You see, he can't get down. He can't get away from his cultural core values, his roots. All right. And the real truth is that heterosexual parents, especially from traditional Black communities and traditional family units of all communities, do not like to accept homosexuality into their community and into their culture. It's true. It's true. I have so many friends from that community. I was in the military with so many people. So many have confirmed that. I've talked to so many people about that. And I know it to be true because I'm a 36-year-old man and I'm a father. And as much as I love my kids, I wouldn't be happy either. Would I disown my kids? Would I beat my kid? No. But we would try to do something about it. And in his own woke CRT way, Ibram X. Kendi says that after he was horrified, he's going to use affirmative messages about girlhood. What can he do to teach his daughter through the lens of CRT that being a woman is the right thing to do? Now that, my friends, that is in direct violation of woke doctrine. That is in direct violation of the rules and regulations and tablatures of the alphabet mafia and all of its glory. The rainbow mafia, if you will. I don't know. I like calling them that. Listen, Ibram Kendi doesn't like gay people. A lot of people don't like gay people. Do I like gay people? I'm indifferent about gay people. My theory in life is very simple. God's the judge. It's not my place to judge, but it's my place to protect my family, my culture, my children, right? Different cultures are a beautiful thing. We don't have to be one gray space alien of a people spread across this country. We can respect each other for our differences. Hey, you might be a good person. I might like you. You might be a gay person, a homosexual person. Do your thing over there, and I'll do my thing over here on my lawn. Just don't come force feed it to me. Don't shove it down my throat. No pun intended. It's the truth. And all of us feel that way. All of us just want to be happy and live our life. All of us, like they said in the closer, in the Dave Chappelle special, all of us are just having a human experience, aren't we? But it goes two ways, right? So if you don't want us attacking your community, if you don't want us hating your community, right? I don't mean physically attacking your community. I mean responding to your attacks to us, to white people too, not just Black people, to everybody, right? And it's not the LGBT community I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very specific community. There's the LGBT community, and then there's the alphabet mafia. Two very different things. If you really want to know more about it, you can email me, leave a comment down below, ask me about it. I can do a special on what the alphabet mafia actually is compared to the LGBT community. But the LGBT community, most of them, 99.9% of them, they're not jumping around doing backflips and hot neon pink in parades, wiggling their dongs around for 9-year-olds to see. No, they're living their life their own way in the privacy of their home. They could come out, they could be gay, and they do everything. It's 2021, right? It's not my business, not my problem. I'm not going to judge. But you can't literally take over all of the schools of thought. You can't literally come in and teach a way of life to my kids and say, this is the way you'll learn now, and your parents are garbage, and they aren't going to teach you the right way. Their way's trash, our way is the right way. No. This is the real world, and in the real world, there's 1,000 different right ways. There's 2 genders, and there's a lot of different ways that you can raise a kid. There's a lot of different ways you can have a family. But the right way, the only right way to raise a family is to raise your family. Right? Am I right? Not my family. Do you want them raising your kids? Or do you want to raise your kids? At the same token, is it your responsibility to raise their kids? No. So stay the heck off my lawn. Oh. That's what I have to say about that. By the way, Amani, Ibram Kendi's daughter, she's 5 years old. That's right. 5 years old, folks. She's 5 years old. A 5-year-old coming home saying that she wants to be a boy. And in how many places, how many woke parents would then be taking their 5-year-old on the way to the doctor to go start talking about their transition plans? You go find me. You go find me a Black family from the Black community that's going to do that. I'll be waiting here. You go find me that family. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. You go find me that family. I don't think they exist. And if they do exist, they're a well-off, privileged, not black family from a traditional black community. Those are people that are woke. Those are the same folks that are in that upper class, brainwashed echelon of people that have been made to feel guilty about their skin color, have been sold these lies, and are now being mobilized to do something about a problem that doesn't even exist. It's not an actual problem. It was created to destroy this country and turn it into a socialist hellhole. But hey, Kendi's a fake. They're all fake. Kendi's a racist. All of these critical race people, these BLM people, they're racists by the traditional definition of racism. Another socialist trick, change the definitions. CRT in general is racist. And so's woke. The whole woke movement, on the same token, it may not be racist per se, because it's not necessarily dealing with race. It's dealing with gender. It's dealing, they are genderist. They're sexist. They're sexist against traditional heterosexual male and female families. They don't want them. They want them all gone. If you don't believe our ideology, you must be smitten from the land. You must be destroyed. You must get on the train and take a special shower. Do you see where this leads, folks? Nowhere good. So I say let the woke people and the CRT people fight each other. Let's stand back and eat some popcorn and watch them destroy each other. Because the truth is that white people don't actually have privilege. Oh, I said it. It came out of my mouth. I really did say it. You heard me? White people don't have privilege in general. Black people don't have privilege. I'm doing the Jedi hand mind trick thing. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Black people, like it's going to actually affect somebody's thought process. I want to affect your thought process. Black people aren't privileged. White people aren't privileged. Latinas, they're not privileged. Asian American, nobody is privileged. Well, somebody's privileged. I know who's privileged. Do you know who's privileged? Greggy? Yeah. Woof, Greggy, do you know who's privileged? Woke people. My friends, woke people are privileged. Critical race theory people, Ibram X. Kendi, is privileged. That leader of BLM, that Marxist woman that bought like 10 properties in Los Angeles, she's privileged. She's privileged. The alphabet mobsters, the radical alphabet mafia mobsters, these radical people that want to do violence to people, that want to harm people, all in the name of their Marxist cause under the fake banner of the LGBT community, when in truth, they're their own community. The alphabet mafia, they are the most privileged. They're the most privileged. Remember what Chappelle said? Don't stop or stop punching down. He said, stop punching down on the black community, to the trans community, the radical alphabet mafia community. He said this, and we're going to get to more of that. Don't worry. But our privilege, white privilege, all right? I've been to the trailer parks. I've lived in the projects. I've seen the majority of white people my entire life struggling to make ends meet. My own mother barely makes $16 an hour, and she is 63 years old. That is the most money she has ever made her entire life, and she lives in bright blue Broward County, South Florida, where all that money is supposed to be. Our privilege is make-believe. It's make-believe like Narnia is make-believe. It's make-believe like frickin' Hook in Never Never Land. All right? Maybe if we clap and we say we believe in fairies, all right, our communities will come alive. Maybe if we clap and we say that we believe in fairies, that we believe in Never Never Land, maybe the lost children will wake up and actually do some good, but they're not going to, because the CRT people, these woke people, they hate us. They hate us. How much more factoids, how much more information, how many more stats do I have to show you? I can put it right in your face, right there. There it is. So you see this? Rutgers professor. I'm holding the slip up to the camera. white people are committed to being villains. We got to take these MFers out. They are literally calling for death to whitey. They're calling for the cleansing of a race. Nobody took the Germans seriously when they started doing that. Eventually, 6 million Jews died in the 1930s and 1940s. I know that analogy gets old. I know it gets old, but when there's no strong men, when there's no real patriots, when there's nobody left to protect our country, it will fall. People are weak. People are weak right now, and they need strong leaders. And the people that are stepping up, the people that run the show, the people that are celebrities, that are our sports figures, they're no better. They're not helping. I mean, Shaq is helping. Irving, I believe his name is, the guy not taking the COVID mandate. I don't watch basketball. Maybe I should get into it, but I believe he's helping. There are a few people. Ice Cube's helping. What's the other? Dave Chappelle. There's all kinds of people helping. But these radical Marxists, they're not helping. You know, these people that are spouting this idea, all right, of privilege, they're not helping. They're just creating division. They're just creating division. So we need to take a look. We need to take a look at where the real privilege is. All right, I want to give you an example or two of the real privilege and the best place to start. One of the best places to start. I'm going to start with a high and a low. The first place to start to tell you about what real privilege looks like is this guy right here. Big afro, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, they put him in this black shirt and they cut his beard up all night. They want to make him look like the artiste. But he doesn't look like an artist. He looks like an idiot. He compared the NFL combine process to slave auctions. Yes, my friend, the voluntary process that could make you a multi-millionaire. It's not fair because the slaves back in the day, they were made into multi-millionaires too, right? That's what happened. No, you're privileged. You're privileged. You're a product. You're subservient. You're an actual slave. You're mad at something that's not real, Colin. You're making up a story. You're mad because life's hard. You're mad because life's not fair, except you think life's hard for you. You think life's not fair for you. Let me ask you a question, my friend. How are your bills doing? How's your mortgage? Are you renting? How's your rent? Have you had to cut back on anything? How many cars do you own? Do you drive a new car? When was the last time you had a steak? Colin Kaepernick eats steak every single night. Colin Kaepernick owns mansions. Colin Kaepernick owns dozens of cars. Colin Kaepernick sleeps with beautiful women and laces himself with diamonds and jewels because life's hard, because life's not fair. Remember, this guy's a role model for your kids. This guy is a role model for your kids. And if you don't believe me, I have a little story for you. All right. And this was a couple weeks. This wasn't on the weekend, you know, during Halloween and stuff, but this is like a week or two before that. And I was at one of my best friends, Drew's house. All right. And we were doing a little barbecue, smoking cigars, having some scotch. Was it scotch? I think it was scotch, either scotch or some sort of brandy, something that he had whipped out. And we were having a little sip. I don't drink. I barely ever drink. All right. And so I'm sipping it and I'm like, take a little sip. Every time I take a sip, making that whiskey face while he's laughing at me, right? I didn't, trust me, I didn't even have a shot's worth, and we were there for hours. But I did smoke some good cigars. We had a good time. We ate some dinner. But later on, I was in the kitchen with his daughter. He's got a 10-year-old daughter. I've known her forever. Like I said, this is my friend I've known for 30 years, right? So I'm her godfather. I've known his daughter since she was born, right? So obviously we have a relationship there. And she was telling me how excited she was. She was telling me about her Halloween costume. She was telling me who she was going to be for Halloween. I said, what are you going to be? Are you going to be Batgirl? Are you going to be, you know, I know that people like those Descendants movies, and there's all kinds of things that kids want to be. When I was a kid, it was Power Rangers. It was Sailor Moon. Who knows, right? But she surprised me because she said something very adult for a 10-year-old. She first said, I want to tell you what I want to be for Halloween, but I'm embarrassed. And I was confused why she would be embarrassed until I realized what she had to tell me, and that people maybe had not taken her seriously, or maybe didn't explain to her certain things, or who knows. I'm not saying that it's her parents, because it's not. But it's coming from the schools, the insecurity, the way that she's thinking about certain things. That's coming from how they're taught in school. She's a white girl, and she's being taught certain things. She told me that for Halloween, she was going to be her favorite YouTube star. Do you know how you know that YouTube has influence over your kids? It's as simple as seeing a 10-year-old dress up as some dumb kid, as some YouTube star for Halloween. That's the celebrities now. These are the people that influence our kids. All right. I said before, Colin Kaepernick, he's a role model for our kids. YouTube stars are a role model for our kids. And this is one of them. All right. This is one of them. I want you to see this picture. Look at this kid, this 18-year-old kid, neck tattoos. All right. Black kid, social media star, arrested after triggering high-speed chase. All right. And there was some interesting stuff about this. The guy's name is Damari Makula. He's 18, and he was arrested Friday running a stoplight, leading the Florida Highway Patrol on 100-mile-an-hour chase. But what he said, all right, what he said really got my attention, and you should hear it too. He said that he's young. This is when the cops caught him. He said he's young, makes a lot of money, and can do what he wants. This is an 18-year-old. This 18-year-old reportedly makes between $400,000 and $500,000 a year, more money than you or I have ever seen in our lives. He makes all of this money, and because of that, he believes that he can do whatever he wants. Back on the subject we were talking about, that, my friend, that's privilege. That's real privilege, and that's not a white guy. You know, but that's not a black guy either. All right. That's a privileged, woke person. It's a privileged, product of this generation, the social media generation, this world that's so unrecognizable to us, to me, to you, to all of us. It's literally like the Twilight Zone. This kid's full of neck tattoos, right? Back in my day, neck tattoos meant something, right? They meant something. I had tattoos when I was like 15 years old. I didn't come from a great family background. I didn't. All right. But I was the only kid in school. I was the only kid in town. I was the only 15-year-old with tattoos, right? Right. And nobody arrested my family. Nobody put me in juvie or put me anywhere for child abuse. No, I was left to my father's devices. That's not very privileged. It doesn't feel very privileged, you know, but neck tattoos, they didn't mean privilege back in the day. They meant you were hard. They meant something, right? Running from the cops meant something back in the day. Being hard, having the reputation of being a hard ass, having the reputation of being somebody that could run from the cops and get away with it. That was earned. Your street cred, your respect, it was earned. It was earned. Some folks blood in, blood out. Some folks in gangs. Some folks just by living the hard knock life and building the reputation. But if you survived the streets, you earned your reputation. This is a little rich, privileged boy. And he hasn't learned a thing. Damari Makula is an example of white privilege, of real privilege, right? Not actual white privilege, this stuff that doesn't really exist, but actual privilege, the privileged of the privileged, $400,000 to $500,000 a year, running from the cops, careless, doesn't care, throwing caution to the wind. Could have hit a kid, could have hit my car and killed my baby in the back in her car seat. Makula does not know he's privileged. He's too dumb to realize it. He's too dumb to realize it. And a lot of these folks are. There's YouTube celebrities everywhere. How many of them actually deserve what they have? How many people deserve? Look at Ice Cube. Look at Dave Chappelle. They've earned their way. They put in the blood, the sweat, the tears. They busted their humps for years to be where they are. Ice Cube was singing songs about actual hard life in the hood for him. Right? Dave Chappelle worked comedy clubs since what? I think he was 15, 16 years old, some kind of ridiculously young age, right? Again and again, thousands and thousands and millions maybe before he got good at his craft. These kids make a viral video and then they think they're God. You know, that thing that the left doesn't believe in. You know, look at Ice Cube back in the 90s. You know, back in the 90s, making those songs. I didn't have to use my AK. Today is a good day. Think about that. Think about that. He didn't want to use violence. Yeah, he had some songs about the police and some songs that had some pretty nasty things in it. But this is a product of a pretty nasty childhood. The hard knock life, the real hard knock life. Things that most of these YouTube celebrities and these internet gurus, they don't know a thing about. Look at Dave Chappelle. Somebody who's lived hard, worked hard, and made beautiful contributions to this world. We may not always see eye to eye. He may be a little more on the left, but he's a sensible guy. He's willing to meet people in the middle. And he was canceled. He's canceled by the radical alphabet mafia. He literally put this great special out. I listened to his special because I kind of got off it for a bit when he went off about the vaccines and all that stuff months and months ago. But then when he was starting to get attacked, he started seeing the truth. He realized that the transgender folks, the radical alphabet mafia, they were punching down on the actual black community, the black community that includes people like Dave Chappelle, like Ice Cube, like Snoop Dogg, like all these rappers that came up hard and appreciate what success has brought them. But these younger folks, these new people, they don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate that. Look, transgender people, they're actually suing Netflix. I've got this thing here. It says transgender Netflix employees sue the company over alleged retaliation stemming from the Chappelle controversy. They've literally filed labor complaints against Netflix. All right. The lawsuit was filed Wednesday with the National Labor Relations Board. It claims that this employee, they identify as non-binary, had her employment terminated by Netflix under false and pretextual reasons. All right. She organized a walkout at the company headquarters earlier this month. She caused a problem. By the way, just to explain it again, I had to explain this to my mom the other day. Non-binary means that this person, this woman, I guess it's a woman, Paggles Minor. How do you even, oh my gosh. They identify as non-binary, and non-binary basically means they don't identify as a man or a woman. Remember when we were talking about that horrible boy rapist that's in jail now that got the girl in Loudoun County, the 15-year-old, horrible story. But we were talking about him and he identifies as gender fluid, meaning 1 minute he's a girl, 1 minute he's a boy. And this person, they identify as neither a boy or a girl. Hi, my name's James Lane and I'm a lobster. I'm sorry. I had to. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it shows that Netflix stood up for itself, right? It says they put out a statement. We recognize the hurt and pain caused to our trans colleagues. They also said, but we want to make clear Netflix didn't take any action against employees for speaking up or walking out. They're trying to play the middle ground. Don't get too excited. They didn't really defend any free speech or anything like that. They're defending their pocketbooks. Remember who runs Netflix. Remember who's an executive producer on tons of content, on Netflix. Obama. That's right. Obama and Obama. Which one's a man? Which one's a woman? Well, we know one of them might be a man, but we know both of them might be a man. Listen, Ice Cube as well. I want to talk about Ice Cube for a second. Ice Cube just dropped out of a movie because he didn't want to get vaccinated. You want to talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right? It says that Ice Cube quit a movie because, and this is a movie with Jack Black, right? Tenacious D, Jumanji, The School of Rock, Jack Black, you know, Jack Black. What was it, $9 million? He said, nope, tossed $9 million in the toilet, said, I don't want that money. I'm not getting vaccinated. Black community doesn't want to get vaccinated. A lot of folks don't. They don't know. They don't trust. A lot of people in the white community, a lot of people in minority communities, people across the country don't necessarily want to get vaccinated. They don't necessarily want to get vaccinated because they don't know what the long-term risks are. And if they've determined for themselves that that's their prerogative, this is a free country, and they should be respected. They should be respected, but that doesn't fit in with CRT, with the woke world, with nothing. Traditional black people, traditional black families, traditional black communities, traditional white families, white communities, traditional Latino, Latina community, all of it. Traditional communities in general that aren't following either the woke alphabet mafia's baton in their parade, or not following, drinking the special Kool-Aid of the Ibermex Kendis of the world, that all white people are racist. All right. If you're not touting those banners, those evil racist banners, if you're not being a hateful, hurtful person, whether you're black, white, purple, whether you're a Native American, whether you're from Indonesia, or whether you just dug your way out of the ground and you're a mole person from down there in the tunnels. They're going to look at you and they're going to point at you. Remember, it doesn't matter your skin color. And they're going to say, white privilege. And you're going to go, what, dog? I'm black, yo. And they're going to go, white devil. What you talking about, bro? I'm black. Why burn the white witch? Burn him. What you talking about? Burn me. What the Seriously, I almost slipped there, by the way. I'm trying to not curse because I really want to get on the radio. Do you like that? I've had one slip this entire episode. I said the A word one time, trying to get on the radio. I almost said the F word, but it turned into a right out of my mouth. Remember, you don't want to do the knock-knock joke. You don't want to see the fork at the door. But remember what I told you earlier about my marriage with my wife. We share core values, something that the woke left and the CRT left doesn't do. They don't share core values. They may have the same general motor in the car, but they both have different destinations. But these traditional communities, the black community, the Latino community, the hard workers of this country, Americans through and through, beautiful cultures across this country that we can all learn from, different beautiful skin colors across this great country that just want to have a family, that just want to believe in God, that want to live their own life. They share our core values. The black community and then the white community, okay? The real black community and the real white community. They believe in God. They believe in God for their children and for their homes. They believe in family. They believe the parents have the say in what their kids learn. They believe in regular family dynamics, nuclear family dynamics, mother, father, children. All right? They believe in freedom, freedom to do what they want, freedom to live their life on their property the way they choose, freedom, the freedom to make their money and live their life. We share that. We share that together. That's what we need to unite over, folks. We need to unite the conservative right. And this is a point. This is a big point that I'm trying to make. We need to unite the conservative right, the entirety, the full spectrum of the right, with the core traditional black, Latino, and minority communities, because we're so similar, because we share the same core values, because we love freedom and we love this country, period. And I have a few ideas. Okay, folks? And that leads us into segment 6. And segment 6 is called Uniting the Clans. Uniting the Clans. Everybody hates Joe Biden. And I don't know if you remember that, guys. Do you remember Braveheart? The movie Braveheart? Do you remember when Robert the Bruce, I mean, he betrays him, but that's not the point. He comes up to Mel Gibson's character and he goes, William Wallace, unite the clans. Unite the clans. He puts his big hairy hand out. Unite them. Or I think William Wallace does it to him, Robert, the guy with the big goatee, all right? Unite the clans. We need to unite the clans. We will never, ever win. All right? We will never, ever push back if we don't work together. We have to work together. White, black, red, yellow, purple, doesn't matter. If you believe what I believe, you are my brother, you are my sister, and we are in this fight together. We're in this fight together. And we have at least, we have something we can unite over besides all of those things that we have in common. We can unite over the fact that everybody hates Joe Biden. How about that? How about that? Everybody hates Joe Biden. What is it? 71 or 72% of the country? We'll get into that in a second. They believe that this country is going on a terrible, terrible roller coaster ride straight to hell. Plain and simple. Straight to hell. I want you to think about that for a second while I take a sip of this water. Straight to hell, folks. That is where this country is heading, according to the polls. But I think Joe Biden may be a little more aware of it than people think. I think Joe Biden knows what's going on. A lot of people think he has dementia, but maybe he doesn't have dementia. Maybe dementia is his escape plan. Maybe he's been charged by the group. Maybe the Democrats, the elites, the global reset folks, maybe the great reset, they've all gotten together and they said, Joe, you're old, you're on the way out, you're washed up, you're probably dying. Do this favor for us. Sacrifice yourself on the altar to Satan and destroy the United States of America. And then when it's all over and they try to prosecute you, just be like, I like children. They smell nice. And then boom, you don't go to jail. They're pretty lenient with former presidents. They really are. Look, everyone hates Joe. Everybody hates Joe. Let's start listing things. The border. Right? They just found 75 illegals in a refrigerated cart down there at the border. And don't worry, they'll get a lot of money. We'll talk about that in a second. There's plenty more. What was it? 17,000 Haitians came in. Something like 20 minutes a person to go through them. And they've all been released in the country. All of them. 1 million people plus. I think it's on schedule in the next couple months to be well over, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Somebody let me know in the comment section below. I know I'm off. I didn't write it down, but I did read it earlier. They hate him. Afghanistan. How about Afghanistan? The 13 service members dead. The 9 children that they killed and then went on the news and said, oh, we had a drone strike. They took out ISIS-K. You took out ISIS-K. You took out ISIS kindergarten. You took out the kids. You killed children, Joe Biden. When are you going to be held accountable? Afghanistan. I was on LinkedIn before I did this podcast, and there are videos on LinkedIn from professionals in LinkedIn sneaking photos of the Taliban burning all of the books in every professional building they go to, in every home they go to. They're burning books. I saw the videos on LinkedIn, guys. On LinkedIn of all. Who would have thunk? Oh, I think I'm going to go on LinkedIn. Maybe I'll get a good recommendation for that job I want. And also I can see a horrifying video of the Taliban burning books. What is this world coming to? He's actually racist. Joe Biden's actually racist. Joe Biden was buddy-buddy with that grand wizard fellow. Joe Biden actually makes up stories. You remember Corn Pop? Corn Pop, he was a bad dude. Do you remember Joe Biden talking about the kids? They want to touch my hairy legs. I love the black kids. You ain't black. You ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. What the hell do you know about being black, Joe? Hell, I don't know much about being black, Joe, but I grew up in some pretty interesting areas. So I kind of learned some of the culture. I enjoy the culture. I enjoy the food. There's a lot of rap songs I listen to. And there's a lot of rap songs you might listen to. Maybe you don't. But just because we don't listen to the same music doesn't mean we can't fight on the same team. Doesn't mean we can't believe in freedom. Doesn't mean I can't come out of my house, smile and wave to Ice Cube and go back in my house and eat a meatloaf, and he can go back in his house and eat whatever he's eating and listen to whatever music he lives. Why can't we be neighbors? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Oh, because Hunter Biden is painting pictures and making $500,000. That's why we can't be friends. Oh, because him and the president of the United States share a bank account. They share a bank account. You hear me almost slip on F-bomb number 2? Didn't even get number 1 out. I just went twice in this show. FCC approved, baby. Listen. We've got a Biden crime family. His brother with all the real estate in Iraq, right? Millions of dollars worth of contracts. Hunter selling his father to business people all over the world, but mainly China and the Ukraine, for favors, sharing the money. The laptop from hell, the laptops, how many laptops, how much crack must you do? How much Parmesan cheese must you snort, huh? How many paper, like, you know, the hole puncher, the 3-hole puncher, you know how sometimes those holes get on the floor? Right? When you're at the office or you hold that, you know, those 3-hole punchers, you hold them the wrong way and all the little dots fall out everywhere and you're just picking them up off the floor. Hunter Biden would go, ah! And he'd dive on the floor. He'd start going nuts. He'd start going nuts thinking that's cracked. He lost 3 laptops. I saw pictures from those laptops, pictures of him with his brother's widow. I saw pictures of him with somebody that looked very much like Obama's daughter, with a very convincing credit card, with a very convincing name on it. I saw pictures from that laptop that has been verified. I saw them before they all disappeared off the internet, and many of you did too. If you didn't, let me know. I can still get some. Trust me, I've got some hidden. I saved them before they got rid of them from the recesses of the web. Trust me. He's a liar. Joe's a liar. He lies. He got caught lying so many times over the decades. He had to drop out of a presidential election decades ago for lying. And you think he's not lying now? You think he's not full of it now? You think he doesn't have the ability to lie, to pretend that he's dumb? He played dumb the entire election back in 2020, you know, leading up to it. Leading up to 2020, he played dumb the entire time. He played dumb. He hid in the basement, and he made you think he was an imbecile. But maybe, just maybe, he's not an imbecile. I mean, we know he's an idiot. But maybe, just maybe, he's just a rich con artist who is smart because he's pretending to be stupid. Maybe that's what's happening. He apologized at the G20. He literally apologized to the world at Glasgow where they're pretending like the climate's falling apart. He apologized for Trump leaving the climate accords, that thing that was making us broke, even though we rejoined and now we're going broke again. He was caught sleeping in Glasgow at the G20. He was literally... They covered for him, though. They didn't lie. They didn't say he wasn't sleeping. They just said he didn't... or they just said he had a very busy schedule. Well, you know, Joe Biden's in bed with his sippy cup by 6 p.m. and his little, I bet you know, you ever see those cartoons and the old man had like the David the Gnome hat on that was like draped down. It's like a nightcap with like a Santa Claus thing at the end of it. I bet he goes to sleep with one of those. Jill, can I have a nice cup of hot cocoa and a scoop of chocolate ice cream? Because you know, super, super old people only eat 1 scoop of chocolate ice cream. He's an East Coaster, so there may be a fortune cookie in it. You know what I'm talking about if you're on the East Coast. Listen, he doesn't hide his puppet strings. He doesn't. Look, I got this right here. All right, this is from the G20 summit. He literally said a bunch of crap about climate change, blah, 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 Greta Thunberg, blah, 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 the world is falling apart, blah, 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 global warming, blah, 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 blah. We have to make everybody convinced that there's no genders anymore so we can save the planet from a fireball, whatever made up story he's come up with. But after that, when he addressed the what do you call it? God, I told you, I sometimes have a brain fart. I'm having a brain fart right now. The media. The paparazzi, there we go. Those folks with the cameras. That's what I'm just going to call. Those people out there holding those machines that capture the devil box that captures your image. Those folks. He said, I'm happy to take some questions. And I'm told I should start with this guy from the AP, Zeke Miller. He literally is just reading the card. He was told to start with this person. Even a couple months ago when he was dealing with Putin, he said, I'll take your questions. And as usual, they gave me a list of people that I'm going to call on. A list for the president, a list for him to call on. He can't even remember his own name. His dog, I'm not talking about Greggy. I'm not talking about Psaki's dog. I'm talking about Joe Biden's dog. He couldn't even remember how many times that dog bit people. You don't even hear about his dogs anymore. For all we know, because he's this type of person, I bet you, they could have euthanized Major at this point. They probably killed that German Shepherd. He's probably mounted on the wall, you know, and he just made a $10,000 donation to PETA or whatever, and they leave him alone. Joe Biden is a bad person. He's actually racist. He actually has a crime family. He's an actual liar. He botched Afghanistan. He botched the borders. He botched infrastructure. He botched energy. He botched everything. He botched everything. So, is it dementia? Is it intentional? I tend to think it's intentional. Some people think it's dementia. Here's some signs. Anger is a sign of dementia. Come on, man. He gets mad at people. He does. He's always tired. Falling asleep at the G20. Falling asleep everywhere. Confused. What do you mean? What do you mean? They never said that. General Milley never, ever said that we shouldn't withdraw. All these people, they didn't give me any of that advice. Come on, man. Not saying General Milley's smart. But the general's secretary of defense, all these people did throw him under the bus when they did the Afghanistan stuff in Congress. Again, was it Congress? Was it Senate? I think it was the Senate. But nobody did anything about it. No accountability. Nothing happens whatsoever. 2022 comes around, we'll impeach the guy. But until then, nothing. Irrational decision making. That is another sign. That's another sign of dementia. Again, though, this guy's been a politician for 50 plus years. He's a great actor. Irrational decision making. Like what? Joe? Like giving illegal immigrants $450,000? I'll say it again. Like giving illegal immigrants $450,000? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Joe? Not new illegals. I'm not talking about the 15,000 Haitians that jumped in. I'm not talking about all of these different people. No, I'm talking about the hush money for the blue votes. I'm talking about the illegals that came in during the Trump administration that were penalized under Trump's policies. He has money for them. Money to make sure that they vote Democrat for the rest of their lives. All right? 450,000. It says here, he wants to give 450,000 to each border crosser subjugated to former President Trump's zero tolerance policy. All right. It says that in some instances, right, a family unit of illegals, they could secure over $1 million from the payout. And these payouts would cost you and me, American taxpayers, over $1 billion. Over $1 billion. Now, this article has a couple other great things. I want to list a thing or two. It says as of December 2020, $7.76 billion has been awarded to more than 34,400 9/11 victims. All right. On average, each 9/11 victim, their family, they received $225,000. All right. Now, that is 20 years after 9/11. And they received half of what he's planning on giving illegal immigrants. It's absolutely outrageous. It's sickening. It's disrespectful and disgusting. Absolutely disrespectful and disgusting to you, to me, and you should be highly offended because that is literally the government reaching into your pocketbook to take your money and give it to people who don't deserve it. Who else could use the money? How about homeless veterans? Does anyone care about them anymore? Everyone seems to care about the homeless Antifa people burning down cities. No one cares about the homeless veterans. People bail those Antifa folks out of jail, but nothing for the homeless veterans. What about abused girls, abused mothers in shelters? They could use some money. No help for them. How about the black community? How about somebody give Ice Cube some money for that platinum plan he had to where he was going to actually inject some real money and some real opportunities into the black communities and start turning things around for those underprivileged folks that are stuck at the bottom rungs? How about that? But no, the money doesn't go to that. The money goes to illegals to make sure that people like Joe Biden get to run this country forever. And it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. Plain and simple. So Joe doesn't remember. He doesn't. Or does he? He's scratching his head. He was asked about it. All right. Peter Doocy. All right. They flew his butt to Glasgow. All right. They flew his butt to Glasgow and had him ask Joe Biden at the climate summit why he's paying $450,000, why he's planning on doing that when we're in such an economic crisis, while everything's falling apart, while all of us are going broke, while gas is shooting through the roof and we can't feed our families. Why in the blue holy hell are you planning on spending even more money, and money on them, money on illegal immigrants? I know the left thinks that every person's, we need to save everything. Everybody, we have to be super motherly and empowering to everybody and enable everybody to be a supreme screw up. That's what we got to do because we're the left. You know what Biden did? He ignored the question. He scratched his head and went, next question. So why can't he remember? Why can't he remember? I think he can remember. I think he's playing stupid, folks. I think he's pretending. So that if he's successful and he sets the bomb and blows up this country, he can literally pretend like he's literally missing some brain cells and ride off into the senile sunset where he can live in riches for the last few short years of his life if he doesn't, collapse during this presidency. Either way, like I said earlier, 71% of the country thinks Biden is wrong. 71% believes this country is on the wrong tracks. All right. It says 71% of Americans believe America is on the wrong track. It says that the president is sitting right now. All right. And this is Monday night, sitting right now at 42% approval and 54% disapproval. All right. He was positive just 2 months ago. What's that mean? That means that in the last 2 months, especially since this Loudoun County parent stuff has come out, people across the country are waking up. They're waking up in droves. They're waking up more than they ever thought they would. And they're being loud. They're being proud. They're rattling the walls. They're screaming at the top of their lungs for the conservatives, for the right, for parents who care about their children, for parents, for people, for patriots who care about their country. No justice, no peace. That's right, folks. We're actually starting to win. People are waking up. People are waking up. So I'll say it again. I'll say it again, and I'll say it with an even thicker Shrek accent. Unite the clans! Come on, unite the clans, donkey. Unite the clans. We have to. I keep saying unite the clans. I keep making that Braveheart reference because isn't that what we are? First off, isn't each state its own clan, its own culture, its own melting pot? And aren't each people, each community, each color, don't they have their own culture, their own something special about them? Why are we letting the left destroy that? Why are we letting these liberals, these neo-Marxists, these progressives, why are we letting them take our communities and flush them down the toilet? Why are we, the adults, the responsible adults, why are we letting the children run the asylum? Why are we letting the insane people run the asylum? The children run the circus, the fleas run the circus. However the expression goes, we are adults. We run the show. We have been charged with the honor of saving the country we love. Because without a country, we don't have a home. All right? This is our home. This is our home. And Joe Biden is literally opening the front door, letting burglars in our home to steal all of our stuff, letting bad people in to hurt our children, rape our family, steal our food, and shoot us right in the head. That is literally the analogy for what he is doing. He is doing this to the American family. He is doing this to the American child. He is doing this to the American patriot and to the American parent. And enough is enough. Remember our core values. Remember the white community, the black community, the Asian community, all of the communities of people who love this country, people who work hard, people who want their families to succeed, who love God. We share core values. We love our freedom. We want to live in peace. We want minimal taxes. We want to make our money. We want to build on our property. We want to raise our kids and do whatever we want. And we don't want the government telling us what we can do. So let's get together and unite. The world is only getting crazier, but people are waking up. Tuesday is a huge deal. We need a big, big win, folks. We need to win Virginia. Youngkin has to open up a can of Stone Cold Steve Austin's whoop ass and lay it down right on Terry McAuliffe's head. I said he has a punchable face. He needs to politically punch him in the face, win Virginia, ban critical race theory on day one, and reinvigorate the right across this nature. That, combined with the parent movement, will be unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. You know, Joe Biden, when he was first getting put into office after the garbage cheating election, after taking the throne from Trump, who rightfully deserved it, you know, he said he was going to be the great uniter. And we all laughed, especially as time went on. But, you know, I think maybe he's right. I think maybe he will be the great uniter. You know, maybe he wasn't wrong. Maybe we can judge less and we can love more. Maybe we can put some of our small differences aside and see each other, see each other, regardless of our cultures, regardless of our beliefs. We can see each other as Americans who share core values and have to root out the evil, the plague, the Fern Gully toxic gunk that has infected this country, the neo-Marxist CRT movement, the woke movement, everything that's set to destroy our communities and our children. Maybe, just maybe, you and I can unite over Let's Go Brandon. Maybe, just maybe. But either way, whether we can or we can't, at least we can all agree on one thing. Thank God I'm not married to Jen Psaki. And folks, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. It was a good one. It was a long one. American Reveille is back up and running. I am James Lane, Big Daddy Patriot. You and I just sat down, had an awesome conversation. I would love to hear from you. Tell me what you think of the show. Head to AmericanReveille.com, REVEILLE.com. Fill out the contact form and tell me that you liked it. Tell me that you hated it. Tell me what you think we should do different so we can make little tweaks. It's just going to get better every episode. And for a couple weeks here until we figure out a scheduled time, you're not going to know when it's coming. It might come at night. It might come in the morning. It could come at 3 a.m., but the American Reveille is coming to a speaker near you. Folks, do me a favor, like, subscribe, follow, do everything you can. Find me, American_Reveille, all over social media, from Twitter to Facebook to Getter to Gab. I am everywhere, and I am looking for you. So come find me. James Lane, American Reveille. I will see you on episode 179. Bye.